Thank you for joining us today for American Dairy Association Northeast Virtual Farm Tour here at Alibi Farms. We appreciate all the classrooms joining us today. And as we can see, Farmer George is ready to go. So without further ado, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. I know it's early, but I want you to think of one or two of your favorite dairy products. And let me ask a question. Does anyone know where real dairy products come from? I know some of you have been to a dairy farm. I see some hands going up. Yes, we have a smart group this morning. You are correct. Real dairy products come from a dairy farm. Dairy farms produce milk, fresh and nutritious locally, and milk is the main ingredient that goes into producing all of the amazing, wonderful dairy products that you all enjoy. And with that said, let me just welcome you to Alibi Farms. Our family farm was started by Elmer and Viola Peck in 1953, and that was a long time ago. So for many years, we have worked very, very hard to care for the land, and we consider it a privilege and a responsibility to take really good care of the environment and be sustainable and lower our use of energy through recycling and make this planet a better place for all of us to live, including our own families. And we also have worked hard to care for all of our animals every day to make them comfy and content. And then lastly, as I've alluded to, we get to produce yummy dairy products that goes into cheese and yogurt and milk that you all enjoy to provide food and nutrition for all of us so that we can be healthy. So we're going to start this tour here in the calf nursery, and this is one of the most important areas on the dairy farm. This is our future. You can think of these as little newborn babies, infants that are born every day. We have about 7 calves born every day on the dairy farm. And where we are right now, we are in the warm, what we call the warm room, which we keep the calves to warm them up and dry them off after birth. Because as you can imagine, calves are wet when they're born, and we have a protocol. Calves are born without an immune system. So it's very important that we get the first mother's milk into the calf as soon as possible after birth. We have to get the right quantity and quality of colostrum fed to the calf, because that's how they get their immune system. And also, we have very specialized staff members and specialized equipment and facilities to care for these animals. And you can see that each one of these calves have an ear tag. They also have an RFID button, and we can scan that into the computer for management purposes. And you can see our computer, our offices. We have a lot of computers around the dairy farm to collect data. When you think of technology and you think of all of the advancements in technology, sometimes you don't think of a dairy farm, but a modern dairy farm today has adopted a lot of technology to become more efficient and also help us to care for all of our animals. So this is kind of our enrollment room where we check the calves in. We wait until they're dry and healthy and they've had their colostrum and they've been entered into the computer and all checked in. And then when they're dry, they come out here and we give each one of them a coat. And that's very important in the winter time. As you can see, these babies are sleeping and they've been recently fed already this morning. I was going to try to feed one, but I can't get any takers right at the moment. And these coats we only use in the winter time. And these calves will be moved up to our calf barn daily. So every afternoon, we move the calves that are fed and going good. We move them up to, we have an ad libitum feeding system where calves can nurse and have free choice access to milk, kind of like a very natural feeding system. And they can mingle with their friends. They're actually housed in a small group. And you can see, here's one here. I'll see if it wants to nurse. It might. We fed these calves earlier, but these calves have already had their colostrum. And then after they've drank their colostrum, we switch them over to regular milk.
And we will get the opportunity to see Alibi Farms calf system. It's a little bit further from where our main tour is going to be. So we did take a pre-recorded video for everyone to watch. So you can see how they group raise the calves and the awesome milk bar that the calves have 24-hour access to milk at.
Okay, thank you, Emma. Emma, we're going to go out into the dairy barn.
All right, so what Farmer George is doing right now is right where our calf nursery is actually within our expectant mother barn. So George is going to take us out into the free stalls and he's going to explain what that is and how we raise and house the cows on Alibi Farms.
Right, okay. So this is what we call barn 4 on our dairy farm. It's our maternity and fresh cow barn. You can think of it kind of as a 5-star hotel and resort for dairy cows. And the cows come to live here about 4 weeks before they're expected to give birth. And then for about 3 weeks after they give birth, when they start to lactate, because birth is the start of milk production. And the miracle of birth, really a miracle, and it's exciting. And it's one of the most exciting things we get to do on a dairy farm. Right here is, let's take a look at this cow, 23,441. She's in this pen because she's already started in stage 2 labor. So she's about an hour away from calving. We're not going to actually see a calf be born today. That would be another video for another day. And you can see over here in the cattle chute, we are getting ready to harvest the first milking, which would be the colostrum. And that is very important that we harvest that using our sanitation protocols, and the colostrum is tested for quality, and then only the highest quality colostrum gets fed to the calves.
So Farmer George,
here we have 2.
We did have a question come in.
Yes.
They asked why you separate the calves from the cows.
That is an excellent question. Why do we separate the calf from the cow? And we get that question a lot. And the reason we do that is for the health and wellness and safety and protection of the calf. Because a calf is born with no immune system, and we don't want that calf to be exposed that would be found in the mom's environment, and also for safety and protection of the calf. And we have specialized protocols and facilities to properly care for the calf so the calf can have the best possible chance to be productive and healthy. And that would be the reason, and also so that the cow can go do what she was designed to do and loves to do, and that's be a cow and produce milk.
Well, Farmer George's connection is getting situated because sometimes technology doesn't always work perfect. I'm going to take the time to answer some of our questions. So Lisa asked, what is the gestation time for cows? Cows have a 9-month gestation period, just like humans. A question came in from Pat's classroom. Are the black spots on the calves birthmarks? Nope, those are actually, they're colored spots. These are Holstein cows who are black and white. They will continue to have those spots for the rest of their life, and that won't change. And each cow has a completely unique spot on their body, spotted pattern on their body. Mrs. Reb's class asked, what is the lifespan of a cow? The lifespan of an average dairy cow can be about 8 to 10 years, so it's similar to a dog. If any of you have dogs at home, very similar to that. Another question came in, who delivers the calves? Most of our cows do freshen or give birth on their own. However, in some cases, if there is a difficult calving, we will assist with that. Cows, usually different from humans, need to give birth within 2 hours of their water breaking. So if we don't see any progression in that first 2 hours, we will help that cow and assist. And then Pat also asked, how big is a calf when it is born? Holstein cows, which are the ones we see here at Alibi Farms, can be anywhere from about 80 to 100 pounds on average. When do cows give birth? And do they already have a number? So cows have to give birth around 2 years of age. That's their mature stage in which they can give birth, and they do have to give birth in order to provide us with milk. We're going to actually switch over and show you a video of the calf barn that we have here at Alibi Farms. So it's just a different area of the farm. We'll play that video for you, and so you can see how we raise the calves here on Alibi. Hey, hello everyone, we are here at the calf barn at Alibi Farms. As you can see, these ladies are all snuggled in. It's pretty cold here in upstate New York because it is winter time here still. So we have our curtains drawn up, the doors at the end closed, and even some tarps here on the front to button everything down. We at Alibi Farms do group raise our calves. And what that means is they're in these large groups of about 20 calves. We choose to raise our calves this way. We found it's just more labor efficient with people, and the calves have seemed to do really well as we group raise them. But it really varies from farm to farm, depending on where you farm and how many cows you farm. You might find a different practice is more successful for your calves. But we've chosen group housing here. So we did just feed the girls. And the way that we give them milk here is via a milk bar, is what we like to call it. So it's an automatic feeder that gravity flows milk into these peach teats right here for the girls, and they can drink milk 24/7. And these guys are going to be on milk for about 6 to 8 weeks before we start that weaning process, and we'll wean them off. Now, the reason calves are only on milk for 6 to 8 weeks is because cows' digestive system is actually different from ours. They're born with 4 stomach compartments, but only one is developed, and that's the abomasum. And the abomasum is most like the human stomach. So that allows them to be able to digest milk well. At 2 to 3 weeks, their other stomach compartments will start developing. And that's the reticulum, the omasum, and the rumen. And when that happens, these girls are going to be a lot more interested in this calf starter. So down here, and they're naughty, they put some of their bedding in it. We have this calf starter, and that will help start develop their other stomach compartments. They'll start being interested in eating that. And then, you know, by 6 to 8 weeks, they're ready to completely wean off milk, eat some hay, which is like a dried grass, and help develop those stomachs even further. And they do have access to an insulated water, so that doesn't freeze during the winter. Now you might be wondering, what are those little jacket-like things on the calves? So this time of year it is a little bit chilly, although it is warmer in this pen because it has a wind block. We still like to make sure the girls stay warm when they're still a little bit on the young side. So we give them these calf blankets because when they lay down, you can see their legs are all tucked in. So by just putting a blanket over the back of them, it helps keep some of that body heat in when it's a little colder, like it is here in March in upstate New York. And then you can also see we have nice fresh straw for them to lay in, so they nestle right down in there and kind of create a nest. So this is where we raise the girls. You can see there's 2 other pens over there, and you can see the bar where they get to eat right there, and they're all nestled in. Hi guys. Oh, that one's got a green jacket on, so they can even get different colors. They're pretty great. And this one, she is been following me around and just sucking on me. Cutie. So with that, that's pretty much our calf pen. And thanks for joining. All right, we're gonna switch it back to Farmer George. If we could just have you talk about the freestalls pretty quickly, and then we're gonna need to head to the parlor to make sure we have enough time for all of our questions.
Okay, thank you, Emma. It's very important that our cows get 12 to 14 hours of rest per day. So in this state-of-the-art freestall barn, the cows have comfortable memory foam mattress bed to lay on. And also this barn, we use recycled dry dairy solids for bedding. As you can imagine, on a dairy farm with this many animals, we have to have a source of bedding. So we process the cow manure and recycle, and we can use that for animal bedding. It makes an excellent source of bedding. And it's important that the cows have fresh water and also ventilation and cow cooling in the summer. You can see the sidewall curtains in this barn open up, and they are on a thermostat. So this barn has got a weather station outside which monitors the wind direction and wind speed and outside temperature and humidity. And we, with a computer system, we control the environment in this barn. We have chimney fans for ventilation and sprinkler system for cow cooling in the summer. What I'm showing you right now is what the cows eat. This is what we call a total mixed ration, kind of like a smoothie.
I'll also answer a few more questions. Are cows ever born early? We do have some calves that are born early, but with excellent care that we're able to provide, we see those calves do just as well as our other calves that we raise on the farm. Great question though. How many calves do you have total on your farm?
Okay.
And that question's from Corey. Total, from calves to full-grown cows, there are close to 3,000 animals on the farm. All right, it looks like George is gonna head to the parlor. I'm gonna keep answering the questions that we have that came in, just because his connection as he goes through the next couple barns might become a little unsteady. How many gallons of milk do they produce in a day from Mrs. Reb's class? So a Holstein cow is the highest producing cow, and they produce the most milk, and they can produce up to 12 to 13 gallons of milk a day. So that's a lot of milk. How old does a cow have to be before they can become a working dairy cow? Answered this a little bit already. 2 years of age, and they do have to have a calf to start producing milk because they are a mammal. And as you guys will learn as you head into biology class someday, mammals have to give birth to produce milk. Another question came in, are there only female cows at your dairy farm? That is a great question. We do only raise the dairy heifers at this farm. Heifer is another term for female cow. We do that because those are the ones that produce milk, and since we are a dairy farm, that's what we focus on. All of our bulls are sold at a young age, and those animals will probably go into food production or bull and steer operations. How long does the actual birthing process take? Like I said, we usually, from the time the water breaks to when the cow gives full birth to the calf, we want that to happen within 2 hours, nothing more. And that at that time we'll come in and assist the cow. Is a ranch different than a dairy? Yes, it is. So out west, usually a ranch refers to beef livestock operation where they're raising cows for beef. We tend to call dairy farms dairy just to make that distinction that we're producing milk to go into dairy products. So there's a little difference there. Is the barn heated? The calf nursery that we first saw is heated because those are smaller animals and they're wet when they're first born, so we do keep that heated. However, adult cows produce a lot of body heat because, as we said, they're about 1,500 to 1,800 pounds. So they produce a lot of body heat and they keep their barns pretty warm themselves. And we learned about the automated curtains Farmer George has. So that keeps the barn pretty warm in the winter. Cows actually prefer it between 35 and 60 degrees. So they kind of like it on the cold side too. So this time of year is perfect for them. How many times do cows have calves? It depends on the cow. Usually cows give birth to one calf roughly every 13 months. So in their lifetime, they could have 6 to 8 calves. It depends on how long they live. And they can have twins. It's more rare, but it does happen. How much does a baby calf and full-grown adult cow weigh? We kind of talked about this a little bit. About 85 to 90 pounds for a calf and about 1,500 to 1,800 for a full-grown cow. All right. Are we back in the parlor, Farmer George?
Okay, welcome to our milking center. This is where we harvest the high-quality milk every day. And we just let a group of cows out. So we have a routine. Cows love routine. They love being milked. So the cows come in, and you can notice on the right front leg, they have a cow transponder. And this is how we monitor the rest and production of the animal. It all gets collected into our computer system. So the routine, we load the parlor and then we clean and prep the udder, and then we attach the milking machine. The milking machine comes off automatically when the flow of milk stops. And then we post-dip the cow and exit the group of cows from the parlor. We have rapid exit, so all of the cows exit at the same time. And then we start all over again and we load the parlor again. So that takes about 10 minutes to milk a parlor full of cows. So what we're doing right now, we can get a close-up. Foam disinfectant is the best way to properly clean the cow's udder and the teats before milking. And then also we use a microfiber towel to clean the cow's teats and stimulate the letdown of milk production. And then we attach these milkers to the cow's teats, and cows love to be milked. This is a very natural and gentle pulsation process, and that's what cows are designed to do, is produce milk, and they love to come in here and produce milk. And what you can see here on the other side, the milkers are coming off. It takes about 7 minutes for a cow to milk. So as you can see, this cow here, and we'll get a close-up of the milk coming down. So the flow rate, cows milk very fast. They can produce 30 to 40 pounds in about 7 minutes. So you're talking 6 pounds every minute when the cow is milking heavy. And this cow here produced 34.71 pounds. We milk 3 times a day. And we'll go to the back of the parlor where the cows are waiting to come in. And just like in school, you have classrooms and you don't all go to the lunchroom at the same time because you don't all want to have to wait. So we have groups of cows and we bring them to the milking parlor at different times, and they wait in the holding area patiently because cows are on a schedule. They love routine. And this would be the next group of cows that's waiting to come into the parlor. And our parlor is a double 20 parallel parlor, and it's an electronic automatic identification milk meter parlor. So it has all the technology and computer system, and we can milk 40 cows at a time. And we size our pens with about 160 cows in each pen, and it takes about 40 minutes to milk a pen of cows. So the cows are not away from the pen for very long, and that's important because they have to have time to eat and ruminate and produce milk and rest. So we try not to have them outside of their pen for a long time. So this concludes the milking parlor part of the tour. And I did want to show you the cow transponder again. This is how we collect all the data for the cow every day. And it's just like an athlete that would wear a Fitbit. It tells how many steps the cow took and how far they walked and when they lay down and when they rest. All that information is electronically sent to a computer every time the cow gets milked, which is 3 times a day. So we are going to go into where the milk goes after the milk is collected from the cow.
We did pre-record a video of the milk house, so we'll play that video for you because we knew that was a bit of a dead spot on the farm.
She's going to show a pre-recorded.
All right, we're going to transition over to what we call the milk house, where the milk is cooled and stored, and then it's where we pump it onto the milk trailers. So come on in, watch your step right there. You can notice the temperature of the milk is 36 degrees. We like to have the temperature at 36 degrees before we load it onto the trailers. And this is our milk receiver vat, where the milk is pumped from the milking parlor to the milk house, and then it goes through a chiller to flash cool the milk. So within seconds, the milk temperature goes from, it leaves the cow at 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and then it goes through this chiller or plate cooler, and it's cooled down to 36 degrees. And then it's stored in these bulk tanks where we can sample it and measure it, and also then through this hose we would pump it onto the milk trailer, and we are producing 2 milk trailers per day here at Alibi Farms with our 1,800 cows. And so you might notice these trailers going up and down the road, and we have to have a license. We have a licensed milk receiver that comes to our farm and pumps the milk. They sample the milk, and milk is tested, and milk is very fresh and local. From the time the milk is harvested from the cow until it arrives in the school, it's sometimes less than 48 hours. So talk about fast food. That is very fast and fresh. You don't get any fresher than that. And we load these trailers every day, so the milk leaves our farm within 24 hours of when it's produced. And then it goes to a processing plant where it's pasteurized and homogenized, and they also turn it into the different fluid products, whether you want 1% or 2% low fat or whole milk or chocolate milk. I know we all like flavored milk. And we do not do any processing of the milk here at the farm. So this is just raw milk, unpasteurized, that's stored in these large bulk tanks, as we call them, in order to keep the milk very fresh and of the highest quality. It's one of our core values is to provide safe and nutritious milk for the public every day that has the 9 essential nutrients that consumers can enjoy and benefit from. So we're going to move to the next barn from here.
So we are back, and the question we got, what do we do if a cow becomes ill? That's an excellent question. We have a herd veterinarian, and we have trained staff members, and we have treatment protocols that we use, and we do a physical exam. Any cow that we suspect might be ill, and we try to check every cow every day, and the computer helps us monitor the health of every cow every day. So depending on what the illness is, and it's just like one of you school children, if you get ill, you might have to stay home from school, and if you're sick for more than a couple hours, your mom or your dad may have to make an appointment and take you to the doctor to be checked out, and they might have to give you a treatment protocol. So we have a special area on the farm called our hospital pen, and sometimes it's appropriate to move the cow to the hospital pen and examine her. We do have a herd veterinarian that comes to the farm and works with our staff people to help them. And we have a protocol notebook that we use to guide us. And we use very little antibiotics here at the dairy farm, but occasionally, with the health and wellness of the animal, we do have to responsibly use antibiotic protocols once in a great while. And when we do that, we have to withhold the milk for several days to ensure the safety and health of our product, and the milk would be tested for antibiotic residue before it ever leaves, before it's ever put into the bulk tank. So those are what we do with our sick animals that do sometimes occur. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, no problem. And then we had an interesting question come in. In times of severe weather, is there anything the farm does to prepare?
That's a good question. In times of severe weather, is there anything the farm does to prepare? And yes, that is correct. We do prepare for severe weather, whether it's rain or wind or snow, or sometimes just extreme heat. We can adjust the ventilation on all of our barns. We can button down the hatches, so to speak, if there's some harsh weather coming, and make sure the barns are closed up properly for wind protection. We also make sure the right equipment is available, and our generators are, we test our generators. So if we lose power, we can switch over to our generators. We make sure that our workers are available. We have the right staff on call when we know there's bad weather coming. And we make sure all of the animals are inside the barns where they would be protected and comfortable.
Awesome. So we had an interesting question come in from Emma. Did Temple Grandin have any influence on this farm?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I have the most amount of respect for Temple Grandin, as well as the livestock industry and the dairy industry. She has really revolutionized our industry and improved how we handle animals, how we design facilities. And she's been very, very helpful in taking something that's fairly complex and actually simplifying it so that you can measure it, monitor it. And when you're engineering cow handling facilities, we use the Temple Grandin template, if you will, all of the research that she's done on how to properly design cow handling facilities so the cows are protected and they're safe and the workers are safe, and we can do the herd checks that we need to do. And also when our cow pushers are out in the pens and moving animals, how we move animals and get them to respond. It's almost like training, like dog obedience. If you're training your dog, and especially if you were training a dog for competition, you almost need a professional counselor or trainer to help you with that. And that's what Temple Grandin has done for the dairy industry and the livestock industry. Thank you for that question.
Yep. And for those of you who don't know, Temple Grandin is animal scientist and animal behavior. Another question we had come in is, how often are the milking machines and milking system cleaned?
3 times a day we shut down and clean the milking center and wash the milking equipment and wash all the pipes and sanitize and with high temperature and also an acid rinse and sanitize the system. So we do that every 8 hours. And I believe the state regulations and the requirements are every 12 hours we have to shut down. And it's almost like a restaurant that would have a health inspection, and there's laws that regulate how we operate, and those are good laws that are meant to protect everyone. So we shut down every 8 hours and wash the equipment.
Awesome. And then we have one last question, and a couple variations of this question came in. Since you don't raise the bulls on Alibi Farms, how do you make sure the mothers are able to give birth and be bred?
That is a good question. So, because we do not raise the bulls and we're not using natural insemination to get the cows pregnant, and it's very important that we focus on reproductive performance of the dairy herd. A cow needs to have a baby every year so she can produce milk. A cow cannot produce milk without having a calf. So we use the technology of artificial insemination, which has been around for a very long time. And we have technicians on the dairy that have been properly trained at the right time of a cow's cycle. We inseminate them with frozen bull semen, and that's how the cows get pregnant here at Alibi Farms.
Awesome. And those are all the questions we have time for today. We'd like to appreciate the fact that everyone that was able to stay a little bit later to have a few more minutes for Q&A. And I'd like to give Farmer George a big hand for welcoming us into his farm today.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.